Bye. See you shortly. We are just absolutely thrilled to welcome Jennifer to our Zoom virtual education and events this week. She's going to discuss what the future of retail looks like. She is a retail expert and industry veteran, and we're super excited to hear about what insights she has to share with us. For those of you that don't know, Jennifer has been a sales leader and brand equity builder for over 3 decades with top brands such as Dermalogica, Jane Iredale, Anatomy. She stays super active in our industry, serving as a committee member for a number of different groups, including CSFA, the FSA. She's a member of the Fashion Board of Advisors for Anatomy. She's also a member of DSA, ISPA, CEW, GSN, CSWA, and WGSN. She's a charitable supporter of the ASPCA, WWF, InSync, and National Park Association, as well as being a member of the board list. Jennifer started her career as a cosmetologist at the age of 20 and has since touched every facet of our health and wellness industry. So without further ado, we will welcome the CEO and founder of Thompson Luxury Brand Consulting. I can't wait to hear what you have to say. Take it on over.
Oh my gosh, thank you. I hate hearing about myself. It always makes me blush. But yeah, 3 decades. I have very intensive gray that I color regularly. So in this new world that we're living in, people are going to start to notice how we take care of ourselves, behind the scenes, and which is usually we stay pretty neutral. So I'm going to figure out, I think I can just close these thumbnails here so I don't have all that showing. But I'm super excited to spend some time with you all and share some insight that I feel so honored to have, the privy to learn myself, and also newly be a member of the Colorado Spa and Wellness Association. My husband and I someday plan to move to Colorado. So my father lived there for many years, until he just recently passed. So Colorado is so close and dear to my heart. So I wanted to be a part. Not to mention that I have some amazing customers that I get to visit, with some of the brands that I work with, and can't wait to get back out again and see them. So I want to talk about what the future of retail is, what it looks like. We are not post-COVID. We are present in the moment of still what's going on with COVID. And, I think this picture on the screen right here just kind of gives you a feel of the way it is. I mean, we all want to get out there, but we have to stay isolated and keep this space around us. And how are we going to build that into the way retail looks for us in our businesses? And through this time, this presentation, which we are recording, and for those of you that are driving, you can listen to it later, or if you have any questions, put them in the chat box and we can go over them at the end, because sometimes you get a question, put it in the chat box right away so you don't forget it, but maybe I'll cover it before the end of the presentation to reach out to me directly. So my screen to switch here. Oops, I'm back too far. Hold on, guys. I'm a little trigger happy. Okay, so these are 4 key brands that I specifically work with within my company. So I'm an independent consultant, and I work with brands to help them build their brand equity. I guess in a nicer way, that's like business development, but it's more than that, because of having 30 years in the industry and being from working behind the chair to helping manage a business to being a sales leader and being part of executive teams and marketing. I feel very well-rounded, but I've also had the privilege from a nail line to a shoe brand to a clothing brand to a private label brand, be able to see how retail is even quickly and how brands are having to do that. And what I found is there's a lot of commonality going on out there. And so whatever I share from these 4 brands, for example, it's really going to be very comfortable with whatever brands that you're carrying in your business that that you'll be able to resonate with. So I'll use these as part of my examples for this presentation, these brands. So I wanted to start with a little story about Anatomy. For those of you that don't know Anatomy, it is been around since 2009, and it actually, congratulations to them, last Friday they just received recognition to be in the top 5,000 for Inc. So Inc. has their 100, their 500, and their 5,000 for private companies, and they just made it as the top 5,000. So to be recognized by Inc. was huge, and it means they really made some, do. But since 2009 until February when COVID kicked in, their entire business model was based on being designed to fly, a travel brand, a designer travel wear brand. Now, imagine all of a sudden travel stopped, and all of a sudden a brand that has built everything about getting out and packing and getting in a plane or getting in a train and going somewhere comes to an end. And so there was a little bit of panic that happened, and we said, well, okay, we need to stop back and reevaluate that. And so one of the things that we were always asked to define many times since 2009 is, what is designer travel wear? So we stepped back and looked at it. And so designer attire that women can actually wear, whereas many designer pieces prioritize form over function, Anatomy ensures the perfect balance of both. So the brand's clothing ultra luxurious, yet it's produced from machine washable fabrics that won't fade over time. Each piece is sturdy enough to stand up to activities as varied as skiing holidays, sailing weekends, and African safaris. So we're talking about a fabric that's very durable, very luxurious, but was built on a tagline and a storyboard about doing activities that involved getting out and traveling. So then we realized, okay, so let's step back and take out Design to Fly, and who is Anatomy? What is the typical Anatomy lady? So the Anatomy woman is typically affluent and well-traveled with, of course, excellent taste in clothing. She likes to travel in style and comfort and engages in a wide range of activities, from weekends in the Hamptons to the golf course to tours of Europe. She's well-versed in the latest designs coming out of our leading European fashion capitals, such as Paris and Milan, and demanding the same level of quality of their necessities. She has elegant taste and likes to experience the best the world has to offer. Now, what we realize is that if you take the travel element out of it, really the brand doesn't have to pivot too much and shift, because we've never really changed who that Anatomy lady was and what was important to her, and being somebody that just likes to be out and doing a wide range of activities. And this was really important because even as you reopen your doors, and I'm assuming the majority of you on the call are managing resorts, people mostly travel to the resorts. They're transient guests, but you have, of course, a bunch of locals that support your business too. So, I know a lot of you are really focused on the COVID protocols and probably sick and tired of being I think somebody mentioned the mask police, but it's helpful to sit down with your staff after this and talk about, how are we pivots we have to do, not drastic pivots, to make sure that our retail can still be successful. Because if a brand who built their model for 10 years on being somebody who gets on a plane and flies can do it, I know that any brand can do it. But I thought this was a really interesting exercise that I wanted to share, because it's big. It's the culture of somebody's business. How do you pivot? And so I think they pivoted really, really well. So we went from her with her suitcase to her outside grilling in her backyard, and she's still out there doing a range of activities. Okay, so that was just a little story I wanted to share you. So what we're going to talk about today is really the kind of current pulse that's happening out there. So there's self-care. There's something called the great outdoors. There's new fashion vernaculars that exist. I've got some Google Analytics that you might find very interesting. Obviously, for those who love to use the hashtag everyday lifestyle is blown out the wall. There's also social consciousness that has reached an all-time high. And then there's this whole new world of digital discovery. which Holly was just mentioning the things that she learned today on being able to do a live story on Instagram. That's a really big part of what's happening with everybody, no matter what their whatever type of career they're in, or what's happening in their personal life, or what their age is. Digital discovery is playing a big part of retail. So we've got a lot to talk about. So first I want to talk about self-care. So self-care means, you know what? We've realized we need to take better care of ourselves. You know, not only do we need to be living in a more cleaner and sanitized environment, but it includes stepping back and taking care of ourselves. And we start realizing that. It's not just about how many times you got to wash your hands and you have to cover overall personal well-being, because we don't want to be sick, right? We want to be well, and that's when we start to realize, are we really well? So this whole, you know, better care of yourself is really on the forefront of everyone's mind. So we can resonate that with some specific products that speak to that, and this is really important as part of your retail. So hand sanitizer. As I mentioned to you earlier, I work with private label. It has been the #1 product that we're producing is hand sanitizer. Everyone needs a hand sanitizer in their business. It's part of the requirements pretty much to open up. And there's all kinds of hand sanitizers out there from all different percentages of alcohol. But guess what? We're going to be using hand sanitizers for a long time. And we're all of a sudden going to start to see our hands are going to get really dry. They're going to start to itch. They're going to start to ache. From the amount of alcohol that's in there. So now we're looking for hand sanitizers that we need vitamin E, we need them to be conditioning. And guess what? Hand sanitizer should be anywhere from 63% to 70% alcohol. Alcohol is really hard to mask the smell. So we have to adapt to the smell of hand sanitizer. It's not going to smell like our beautiful candles, but we also want to have hand sanitizer that does smell well. So we're looking for ways to add tropical scents to them, and fig and cucumber, and menthol or peppermint. So hand sanitizer has huge opportunity in retail, and actually can become an exciting part of your business. So it's a product that's big retail. Everyone's going to be buying it, whether it's purse size or sitting on their counters at home. We all know that's a big one for retail. Candles and diffusers are also really big because we're spending a lot more time at home and we start to notice more things. And so we want to bring back experiences that we're missing. So we're seeing a lot of increase in candles and diffusers on the marketplace to just remind them of a place that they once loved or missed going to, or had on the books to do and it got canceled. So think about that. Water bottles, because we don't want to be sharing anymore, you know, glasses, or cups or plastic. So water bottles are actually a really great way to brand, to private label or brand within your business, or carry water bottles. So they're really big on retail. People are buying a lot of self-care books. They're not only just books on meditation, but they're also books on, you know, what they call do-it-yourself, which I have done here, DIY. A ton of books on how you can do things yourself. I was talking with someone earlier about how everyone's really just reworking their homes and their gardens, and so comfortable clothing is another thing. And we're not getting out as much, so there's dresses are hanging in the closet, and we realize, oh my God, we don't have, you know, a lot of clothes that can take us from a Zoom call outside on a hike where we might sweat a little bit to bringing it inside where now I'm going to be in the air conditioning and I need to, you know, pop on the video camera and somebody to see me. So you want that versatility in your clothing. I was on a webinar last week, and this one woman, I watched her go, you know, from walking her dog to sitting on her back patio to coming inside to being in her kitchen to sitting on the floor, you know, all, you know, in the same Zoom. And that's the reality. That's what it's going to be, and there's nothing wrong with that. And it was interesting that you want to think about that. You all of a sudden want to have this comfortable clothing that can meet all those variables, because you can't change while you're having your meetings, which are really going to be virtual right now. So comfortable clothing is a big trend. Sure. Community building products. these are anything with probiotics and prebiotics and anything that's going to help, strengthen our immunity within our system. So supplements are really big. And skincare, which skincare has always been a huge part of our business, but skincare now, I've got one of the, again, just from an example of private label, I have people asking for cleansers that have probiotics and prebiotics in them. So it's not just in what we ingest, obviously topically, which has always been a situation, but they're really thinking about everything that's that extra level of care that we're taking for ourselves. So when you sit back and you look at your retail mix, you can build storyboards around self-care, and we'll talk about that a little bit more. Obviously, do it yourself. One of the big conversations has been with nails. Before we reopened, think about it for like, so they were doing a lot of research on how you buy hair color kits from the stores so they could do their own hair color, or they were FaceTiming with their hairdressers, and they were being able to do curbside and pick up products. And then for nails, being able to do your own manicures and pedicures has been a really big thing for do-it-yourself. We've also learned that this particular product from London Town became one of the top search products in their brand from one of their Google analytics, because people that had acrylic nails or gels, they had to pick them off and peel them off themselves, and all of a sudden their nails were really weak. So now they were trying to do this whole nail recovery. So brands are really being able to pivot and come to the marketplace. And these are things you just need to think about in your retail mix that you might have. And then, of course, SPF. Because weather's gotten really warm. And I don't know if you remember when this first happened, it rained and it was cold and it was snowy all through March, all over the country. And it was crazy. People were stuck inside, and it was adding just this whole other level of stress. Now the sun's out and summer's here, and now we're out and about. And so SPF, and I don't mean just SPF that you physically put on, but SPF with hats, SPF with your clothing. Anything that offers an SPF factor is a really important storyboard to talk about in your retail, and adding it as an extra. Did you know about this brand and it offers SPF? Anatomy offers an SPF through their clothing brand. I never really talked about it before, but it is one of our selling points, so now we talk about it. So self-care, there's a lot going on there with self-care. So we'll pivot in talking about another one, which is the great outdoors. And I just mentioned, of course, some of us have beaches, some of us have deserts, some of us have oceans, less of beaches. Some of us have a lot of hills to climb. Some of us live in flat terrain. I live in Dallas, Texas. I mean, we've got a lot of golf courses here. So our great outdoors is looking completely different, but we are discovering our great outdoors. And fashion has really been able to benefit, because people are discovering that they don't have enough of that versatility in what they can wear for the great outdoors. So if you carry apparel or shoes, this is a really great opportunity for you to tap into. So some of the things that we are experiencing is, and that we've been able to accelerate on the anatomy side, is one of the benefits is people are looking for wrinkle-free resistant materials. And these are search engines, gurgle suits that they PF in whatever they're wearing, hats or clothes. They want the ultra stretch and flexibility. They want it to be very easy to wash and wear. And let me share this. Think about this. We're home a lot more, so our air conditioning bills are going to be much higher. Our electric bills are going to be much higher. I've talked to lots of people that are saying they're running their dishwashers daily, where before they'd run it maybe twice a week. They're doing laundry almost daily, where before they would do that, 2 to 3 times a week. So now they're looking for things that are very easy to wash and dry, where maybe they don't have to put it in the dryer. And really now they're starting to get a little bit conscientious about, okay, I've got to lessen my imprint on my electricity. I've got to be a little bit more sustainable in how I'm tapping into those resources just to even help my environment. So they're looking for things that are quick drying. And so with anatomy, we have this flexibility, sustainability, and creativity built into the I love this picture. This is an Instagram, and this is a resort that I thought you guys would love this picture. Why I have to put it on here. This is a resort in Iceland that literally built a bubble, and you can actually just, as before you go out and hang out on a hammock or sit in a chair, now you get to actually sit in your own little bubble. So it's got a really great story. I can't remember the name of the resort, but I can find it for you, but it's in Iceland. So the great outdoors is really when people are looking at how what matters in their life, these are some of the things that they're thinking about. Okay, so let's pop over to Google Analytics. And the bike and walking boom is a fresh opportunity for everyone. So this is an example of the skort. The skort is a skirt with shorts built into it. The last 90 days, people go into Google and they search skort, or they've searched outdoor recreation, or the bike short, or a bicycle helmet, or a hybrid bicycle, or a bike pack. Just in the last 90 days, the percentage of the search. So as I said, we're going into the great outdoors, but bike sales are, you can imagine, most people can't even find bikes anymore, or they're waiting 4 to 8 weeks for a bike to come in. But they're out walking more. So now people are looking to change in their shoes. Some like the traditional sneaker, some like the traditional sandal. But there's actually become a hybrid because consumers have felt so cooped up and they're seeking fresh air and they're getting out there more often. We're also getting back to work. And those that are fearing the traditional public transit are deciding, okay, maybe I can walk to work. So maybe I can bike to head to work. And so we're seeing all this increase in those purchases that are being made. So if you're going to be walking to work, you need to have something that is a dual end use, that you can be able to use it on your bike, but then able to go straight into a boardroom or be able to be fresh on a Zoom call with that. So Google Analytics are really showing that connection of from the outside into the inside. So I thought you'd find this really interesting. So going back to this bicycle cycle increase, we also looked at how that affects apparel. And here's an example of the percentage of each category when people are searching right now, just from year over year, April to April. And there was a 15% increase for fitness and activewear, whereas dresses was the big increase. In 2019, it's now fitness and activewear. And then you can see where a big increase from 2019 to 2020. So all I'm trying to show you with this is that it's these items that have this dual purpose, that a jacket can be outside, be worn inside when it's air conditioning and wrapped around your waist outside. Skirts can be worn inside. They can also be worn outside. Your swimwear, people looking for outer swimwear. So if they go from outside and inside, they can have a nice cover up. So you're going to see a lot of that shifting. And any way that you can talk about that will really help with your retail understanding, some of the Google Analytics. Another one is white. White with bold tones. So white is usually a very popular summer, but it has become a really big trend. First of all, white usually looks good and how they're appearing on screen. And so white is very flattering. So London Town has been doing a lot of Instagram posting, seeing a huge increase in their white shades. And as you can see, it makes your hands look tanner. It allows their jewelry to pop more. Here's cocktail sneakers, white shoes, white pants, and enjoying the outdoors. These are real live pictures. I mean, they're Instagram, but they're still live photos. And then bold tones. So we're seeing white with red. We're seeing white with coral. I see white with powder blue, with teals. Those are really big. So it's a really good opportunity to kind of think about how you can intermix some of that in with your business, and even just how you organize your retail space. So there's a lot of analytics around white and combining it with bold. So some fashion vernaculars. So having an opportunity to work with clothing brand. So one of the biggest things is above the keyboard dressing. I've talked a little bit about some of the things that we're seeing from Google research, but it's actually a saying, and it should be under quotes. It's called above the keyboard dressing. There's also another one called the sex again, and the other one, of course, which is hashtag everyday lifestyle. So I want to talk about both of these with you. Okay, so first one's above the keyboard dressing. So basically that means business above the waist and comfort below the waist. And so what we've seen as a big surge in purchases are jackets and blazers, because we can easily put that over a short sleeve shirt or a tank top if you've got to get in front of the camera and have a meeting. Cardigans are great for that. Button-up blouses, because they can cover up a bathing suit. I mean, for real, these are just normal clothes, but the reason that they're buying it is based on what's happening and as they get back to work. As I mentioned, skirts are really big. And then mule style sandals are back. It's actually, there's a great report written about that on Trends. At the beginning, it was actually Trends for 2020 that came out in 2019. And it's that slip-on, slip-off, very comfortable, what they call part of that transitional suiting look that you can do. So if you think about transitional suiting is being able to just look from casual to smart casual very fast, just by incorporating a type of shoe that you wear, a type of jacket or blazer or cardigan that you're wearing. So this is a really big vernacular. So people are looking for comfort, versatility, style, choosing that fits this style. So that's really important. And especially high-tech moisture-wicking materials, as I had mentioned about going in and out. They want crease-free fabrics. I gotta tell you, Mattel, my husband, he works for Raytheon. He's now working from home. And he's a perfect example of this. I watch him in the morning. I go, I can tell you have a bunch of Zoom calls today because he's got a nice button-up formal shirt on, but he's got shorts on. And then midday, I see him go outside, takes his shirt off, gets a little sun out there and comes in and puts it back on. So this is happening. This is the reality. And so if you connect with your customers and find out a little bit about their lifestyle, then you'll be able to say, oh, you're part of the above the keyboard dressing. Let me show you some great pieces that we have. So there's a really big statement that can be made with all of this. So that's one of the vernaculars. Man, I'm timing. Okay, so make sure I'm good. All right, the other one is called the sex and this is just that sultry look. So these are loose fitting fabrics, lots of shimmer, anything with shimmer, which interestingly enough, I found that shimmer used to be something that was maybe more over the years. People that lived in certain areas, came from certain cultures, maybe certain age groups, but now shimmer is everything. People want shimmer on their cheeks, they want it on their nails, they want it in their clothes, they want it on their toes, they want it in their hair. Shimmer, shimmer, shimmer. So that is, and there's a whole psyche about women who miss getting dressed up and going out, wearing a nice outfit and their pumps and getting dressed. And so this just throw it on sultry fits what's happening in their lifestyle right now, in their home, or maybe just or a very casual setting. They can do that without knowing that they can't really have it that they might wear normally if they were having like their Friday night date night. So we're probably having more date nights every night of our week because we're home a little bit more often with our spouses. And so this whole just throw it on sultry look is happening. So anything that's kind of off the shoulder style where the shoulders are being shown. There's a lot of shirts out there that, they're like had a half a tank and then they show the shoulder and then the arms covered. All of those styles really fit into this look. It's just a statement piece, but it's still elegant. And then of course there's the hashtag everyday lifestyle. This is how we appear in real life. And this is this on-screen appearance that we're going to have. This is the photoshopping is not going to happen. And you can do some great photoshopping on your own phone. It's pretty cool how you can do that. And people will do that. But we're also learning through this hashtag everyday lifestyle what people are supporting, what their interests are by what they're doing, what they're photographing themselves doing. And then we start to resonate and find some commonalities about them. And so people are going to be drawn to those things that connect. And so this hashtag everyday lifestyle is telling you a story about people. And before we used to try to collect everybody's email addresses. Now they're going to tell you to just ask if it's okay to send texts and stay connected with them. And those texts could include an image. It could include not just a message, or include a link to something. And so before we used to ask for email addresses, now ask them if it's okay to send texts and stay connected. And ask them, obviously, to do the same way of sharing. And some people are great on Instagram, so they might want to just send you a text to their esthetician or their hairdresser, and then that person can, share it with the individual business. So if you're a resort and your hairdresser, you can add it to your own, Instagram. So you're going to find this whole hashtag everyday lifestyle. People are going to show themselves in the norm. I mean, doing things that we didn't always know about them. People are going to show themselves on the golf course, on the tennis course, and with their pets. And you're going to realize people have more pets than you realize. It's really, really interesting. And of course, that is going to be able to help you to talk about what you want to recommend as part of your retail, or when they're in their shopping, they're going to see things that are going to resonate with them. So this whole hashtag everyday lifestyle is really going to allow people to be more open about who they are. Where in the past, most of us kind of kept that close to the vest, only to our close friends and people, but now it's not. And we're using it in ways that we want to shop and help people help us shop. So another one that one of the pulses going on is it's called social consciousness. I give because I care, and it's for so many years so many charities out there were struggling to get people to just take a little bit of money out of their pocket and put it towards a charity. And now everyone wants to support a charity, which is so heartwarming and such a beautiful thing. And sometimes brands or consumers and customers, whatever you want to call them, we kind of kept that personal and close. But now we want to talk about it because we all need help. This is the one thing that's happened that has touched every single solitary person across the globe, and it has affected every single facet of our life. It's never happened ever in a lifetime, history in our lifetime. So whether you're supporting Make-A-Wish or Good Karma or Feeding America or Equal Justice Initiative, or which I love about Cocktail Sneakers, they just great one, Souls for Souls, because people choose and they take the souls and they use them for new shoes to help poverty-stricken. And poverty is going to be even, unfortunately, worse right now. So social consciousness is a really important element right now to why and how consumers are connecting with. So they want to buy things that they feel like their purchase is making a bigger difference. And so that's going to be something that we want to be vocal about. We want to let them know that that's what they contributed to. And that's going to help people decide that they want to make a purchase and buy for retail for that product. So they want to connect with those brands, and they might start asking more than you ever realized. But if you have brands and you want to know what, ask them. Just send an email to all your vendor reps and ask them, what's happening when I buy something from you? How is that helping socially? Will you be giving back to? Because I want to share that with my customers. And just get a little signage, and it really is an important thing. It's this, and we all need it. We feel like there is a lot of, like I said, psyche about how we all want to do something bigger. So here's a good quote: consumers are defining success on their own terms and living more fluid lives than ever before. They are realizing that there is no perfect destination or set finish line. And this was, I was by the co-founder of BBMG. But what this is saying is that our success was defined by our careers and the positions that we held. And while we still need all of that to be able to pay our bills and keep a roof over our head, it's no longer what drives us. It's completely something different. It's about self-care. It's about giving back. It's about caring for your neighbors. It's about uniting. It's about standing up for a cause. Nation that we once had has completely changed. So we're still the same people, still buy the same things, but we've let our guard down and we've softened up. And there's always, there's always something beautiful that comes out of a dark time. And this is a lot of what we're seeing. And it can really resonate in the type of business that we are in the health and wellness industry. We've always been caregiving industry. And now we have an opportunity to take that to a whole nother level. So anyhow, I like that quote. I wanted to share it. Where are we? Okay. Another one, we're coming close to the end. We're going to hit some of these questions that are coming up, I see, is what's called digital discovery. So I'm one of those, as I said, three decades. So I'm 52. So I'm proud to say it, 52. And, using a mobile device and having that control my ads and apps, is something that we're all just having to learn and adapt to. And they say that mobile connectivity, which is referred to as 4G, has reached an all-time high milestone, the way it's connecting. And what it's done, it literally can connect across the globe, not only within seconds, as we've all seen happen over the last couple of years, but just about the furthest reach, the most unpopulated areas. People who may travel to safari that can't even have a tower line now can actually get 4G service. I mean, this is really a powerful time for our digital science. But also what's happened is by a click, we also have deepened our relationships. And we've been able to talk about what's happening in our lives and being able to respond, because we can't, we want to, but we were able to deepen those relationships and still have that connectivity. We're also, again, through this digital discovery, cultures and values and interests are all being shared. And whether if you like to follow Twitter and you can see somebody from Australia comment to somebody who just did something in California, to someone who has just said the same, just commented in India. It's just, you're seeing these value and interests globally really connect in a really fast pace. We're also, through the digital world, seeing that physical appearance falls by the wayside. And we kind of talked about that when we all got up. Some of us put makeup on before we get on the call. Some of us don't. Some of us let our gray hair shine. Some of us put our hair back in a ponytail. Some are coming off of a hike at a beach. And you know what? We feel comfortable, don't we? How cool is that? So physical appearance, which used to drive really how this confidence level, what we really found is that. And the digital world is allowing us to accept that, no matter who we are and what we're doing, how that looks. And so again, that's going to resonate right back into your retail space, because that's the way people are using digital to connect with one another. The other thing is customers are no longer overlooking businesses in their own cities and towns. You may have heard staycations. Well, staycations is soaring. So as people are opening the doors, maybe they're not getting on planes as much or getting on trains as much, but they're comfortable with getting in their car and they're comfortable of driving out. And there's been data on this that people are not afraid to go stay in resorts and hotels. That's not what concerns me with social distancing. Very comfortable to do that. It's just how they get there. So it's really important for, even in Dallas, a resort here in Dallas, the Crescent Hotel, they have been working really hard trying to connect within the own zip codes that they have to conferences coming in and tourism coming in. So staycation is super cool. Consumers are loving it. And we're also, like I said, discovering businesses that we used to just drive by and never really paid attention to. And the other element to that is that the consumer really wants to support their own local businesses. It's a time where that local community has never meant more to them than it does right now. So again, this is a way to build upon and resonate and bond with your customers, your own backyard, and your retail. So what do you do with all this information? Because I gotta give you a nice overview of all these different things. So one of the things I'm going to say is there is no time to waste to stay on trend. And you're very busy opening your businesses, managing your staff, keeping everyone focused, introducing new protocols, making sure your customers have the most amazing experience, feel safe. So how do you stay on trend when that's what you got to worry about all day long? So I'm going to tell you, every employee that you have has some other interest besides what they do for a living. So find those and ask them what their other interests are in their pastimes. Somebody may love clothes, somebody may love nails, somebody love makeup, somebody may love skincare, somebody may love shoes, and ask them to take the lead of helping to stay on trend so that within your business, everyone, whether it's your weekly meetings, monthly meetings, they each have an opportunity to share what's happening, because there is no time to waste by being behind the trends right now, because it's moving too fast. And we know the digital world for retail specifically is crazy. We know that. Okay. This is really cool. You can totally reorganize your retail area to bundles. So if you had a skincare line, I don't know, Eminence, SkinCeutical, you probably had it all set up on your shelves that way. Okay, then you have a clothing brand, then you have a hat line, you have a shoe brand. What if you turn it around and you build it into these stories about people? These stories that are above the keyboard, people that are doing more walking to work than driving to work. What if you talked about SPF or self-care? And so therefore you created a story. So if you want to make a story about SPF, you could do your hat, and you can do your sunscreen, and you can do skincare that's helped to, take care of your skin after you've been in the sun. And then you can do clothing that has sun protection built into it. Shoes that are really great to prevent from sweating. I mean, there's all, you can build a story around SPF. You can also do a story around from different. So you can create these really cool stories instead of brands, and it can streamline the way your retail is laid out, and it allows the consumer, when they are in shopping, the way of finding things kind of resonates to them or what you're trying to tell them, whereas before it was a sea of skincare and there's brand, or a sea of clothing, and then it was separated. You can build whites and then throw in red in there, or throw in blue in there, and do it even with jewelry and nail polishes. So you have a lot of fun kind of going back into your retail and just reinventing your own space and thinking about the way that people are shopping based on how things are resonating for them. I think that it's important to bond with brands that you and your customers connect with. So if you're in a resort that supports a charity, you want to speak about that, and you want to do some live streaming events, if you want to do some charity events, definitely connect with brands that can support those too, and ask them if that's something they're involved with. It's just really good to connect that, and I'm not trying to pick any brands because I don't know, all brands do their own things, but it's such a social consciousness right now in the way that people want to unite together, that it's important that it resonates from the way your staff is in your business to the way you're communicating with your customers. So I would definitely make sure that's bonding and feeling good. Bring your retail space to life. Live streaming is the new normal. So one of the things about the digital that I said, but I kind of said it kind of fast, is that we're just our own selves right now. And so there's no really big photoshopping. So what if you want to have, right? It's going to be live virtual. Guess what? Your own staff are going to be your models. They're the ones that are going to be demoing the skincare. They're the ones that are going to be demoing the makeup. They're the ones that are going to be demoing the nails. They're the ones that are going to be trying on the clothes for everybody and bringing it to life. Whereas before, never asked that of your staff, and maybe they wanted to, they just was not something you ever thought to do, because we always had trunk shows, or we had, people could go into the dressing room and try things on themselves. So live streaming is the new norm. Look at how you can bring that to life into your retail space and have fun with it. You're going to find it's going to be a really cool thing to do. Okay. And so staff is no longer staff. They are the soul to relationships to your clients. And I've been talking a little bit about this because they always have been the soul of the relationships with our clients, but they've always, and I hear this from everybody, gosh, I'm an esthetician here, I'm a touch, I'm at the front desk here, partner in this business. And all the relationships that we've ever had before need to come together as one big family, one unity. We have to feel this retail calmness. We want to have this softer approach. We want to feel part of this emotional behavior shift. And your staff who might feel extremely stressed coming back to work and scared what's going on, or maybe gotten past that hurdle, but are feeling the repercussions of maybe some of their paychecks from the last couple months, and they have a lot of great ideas, and they're really going to become the soul to how the relationships strengthen from your clients and your customers than ever it's been before. So those are what I would take away from all this. I mean, there's a lot going on there. Okay, so switch to Q&A, and there were some questions. Holly, to tell me what some of those questions are in case I need to go back to another slide.
Oh my gosh, your presentation was wonderful. I think a lot of folks were, including myself, were making specific comments to supporting, not only the data that you were sharing, but also some of these really amazing, and thoughtful ideas that you've put out there that I don't think any of us, I mean, I'd love to say like I'm a retail junkie. My staff, the couple people that are on this call that are my employees, know that I'm a total retail fanatic, and I've put a lot of passion behind it. But man, this stuff is so cool. It gets me energized and jazzed for like thinking when I'm brought back to work, how I'm going to sort of rethink kind of that what my retail looks like and that whole experience. I love that. There were a few things, they're mostly comments, so I just kind of want to review those really quick. I had noted on behalf of John Quarles, who was driving, and then he commented, John, I hope to high heaven that you were at a stop sign, light, or maybe even not driving anymore when you replied. But you brought up the point about water bottles and how those are top sellers. Without, putting a specific brand out there, and certainly, John, you're welcome to add to it if you like, but he's never sold more water bottles than has sold now. And so those are definitely a super hot trend. We also had another comment about the self pedicure booties are really popular, right? Because people are sort of staying away from, and certainly for a period of time, we couldn't even go to salons, but some are kind of staying away or wanting to prolong their manicure and their pedicure. I loved Tracy's comment too. She brought up that water bottles are a great way to advertise your spas and brands as consumers carry them wherever they go. So, certainly if that is an option, definitely think about branding opportunities to drive new customers to your business, both from a vendor perspective and from a business spa operation perspective.
And hand sanitizer with that too. I mean,
and that hand sanitizer, you're absolutely right. And I was actually I made a little note here that I wanted to bring that up. I do think that is so important. Everywhere we go, everybody's looking for hand sanitizer, and they're all looking for sort of the right, what it's got to work, of course, but to be able to have it literally in your retail shop, and for someone to go, oh, that's really cool. It says Brown Palace, or it says Spa of the Rockies, or it says, anatomy on it. I mean, it could be anything. I think that's a great pairing, and something that really could go home with everyone, or almost be a value add to your services, or like spend X number of dollars in retail, and then take home, you get this, travel size, branded hand sanitizer is just, super brilliant. John Quarles at Brown Palace loves cocktail sneaker ideas, so you might want to reach out to him. He made a point about that. And some comments too, just about charities, which, are association has partnered with some charities. So of course, we have information on that on our website. If you're curious about our charities, where the money's going and where some of your membership dollars are going, definitely take a look into that. Tracy also made a really interesting comment, and so I apologize about that. There's just, I mean, I think your presentation was so solid. I don't know that anyone has any questions. So
okay, good.
People to put in any comments before we wrap up here. We've got 6 minutes to converse. But one of the things that Tracy said was, now is the time for resorts and spas, day spas, all of them, to build their local business, as because consumers, of course, are traveling closer to home. And I think that Jocelyn, who is at the Gaylord Rockies, I mean, kind of middle of nowhere, in the middle of everything, so to speak, and has been very, very much that group business up until now. And so, obviously they're having to reinvent. So definitely taking advantage of promoting to those people in your backyard. They're definitely the ones that are, we're the ones who are spending money in our communities to keep our communities alive, because we know what our town could look like if nobody spends any money. We could, look like middle of nowhere. Sorry, I'm going to say Texas, middle of nowhere, Texas. I've driven back and forth to and from Texas so many times that I do see, I've seen some of these towns that have just almost disappeared. And you're like, at one point they were probably vibrant, so definitely continue to spend money and promote to those in your backyard. I'm going to jump down here though to Lori. She made a comment which I think is really great. What about following up with guests after their visit to the spa with an invite to a virtual party showing products they had in the treatment, but for use at home? I think that's a great idea.
Perfect. Yes.
Yeah.
Excellent idea.
Yeah. And, Jennifer, I would imagine that even, with your brands and those other vendors that we do have on our call, those are great opportunities to provide that support to your spas, is that virtual platform, and becoming experts in that, aren't we?
And I'm sure, and Tracy, she's just like me, a rep too. And, we'd love to be a part of your business. I mean, if we were willing to get up, we lived probably 70% of our time on a plane at your businesses. So we would probably just love to do that too virtually. And I would say just ask all your vendors. They've got a ton of people that want to be a part and want to help.
Yeah, I would agree with that for sure. And now more than ever too, and I've said this before on some other calls, as spas, yeah, we're sort of in this world of like trying to figure out how to navigate, the extra requirements to stay safe and keep our employees safe and our guests safe and ourselves safe. But our vendors really need us now. So because, we don't want to see any one of our vendors go out of business. So for us to provide opportunities outside of the box thinking, such as this, recommendation from Lori, I think is a great way that we can support without anyone having to, invest major dollars. I mean, how much does it cost to put on a virtual event? Jocelyn asked a question, and I'm getting a couple here now, which is I'm really excited about. What do you think about the future of Spa Boutique being available online through the resort website, and then spas shipping out or drop shipping to our guests?
Okay, absolutely. And if you have the ability and can talk to your GM, because I know a lot of GMs, they're a little tight with their retail dollars, but I can tell you that all my brands specifically are happy to drop ship, and we're doing it already. We're already doing it. So your brands will support you on that. And where they wouldn't have done it before, they are now, and they found ways to do it and make those resources. So you can absolutely, especially when you're thinking about sanitation, can somebody chop and then buy a different size? How do you sanitize that? We've gotten a lot of questions on that, which we recommend steam the clothes, of course, in between. But maybe you just that's what they try on. And then when they buy it, you ask us to drop ship it to them. And so your tester becomes, what's on your floor there. Keeps your inventory, cash up front dollars, not spent, only when the product's sold. So Absolutely. If you can do, I would do it.
Awesome. Yeah, that is great feedback and insight. Rosemary asked a question. How do you respectfully communicate retail with a client that will spend money on services but buys over-the-counter skincare? It boggles my mind. Absolutely not. Thank you so much. Thank you for this is much needed. So yeah, how do you convince them, right? How do you how do you tell them to stop buying that crud from over the counter? Don't do that. So bad.
I know. Well, I guess, we always want them to take it home, because when they're using it every day, they're remembered of what they love from that result. So of course, sampling and trial comes a big part of that. Um, but I would say that why is somebody buying, some other home care product, and asking them honestly, they'll tell you if it's a price point. Maybe they just can afford to do the facial, but they can't afford the retail, because that is a whole nother, we all knew that ratio should be, 1-to-1, right? $60 facial should lead to $60 retail. And so maybe that's, what's happening, and they just don't talk about it. Another times, a lot of people, when they come in, they never checked to see if they're low on anything. Am I low on my cleanser? Am I low on my moisturizer? Am I low on my toner? So then when they're there, they're like, I don't know if I want to buy, because they really don't know. So maybe that's a whole nother element that needs to happen of a call before you're scheduling them. Just as a reminder, say, before you get a chance, definitely take a look at your skincare, see where you stand with, how much you have. We have some specials going on, blah, blah, blah. Just kind of setting those little preliminary messages to them. And then I would, I think you said it was Rosemary that asked this. This is where texting becomes really valuable after your service, because we used to call, and this is where you can text and say, hey, how was your service? How's your skin? Maybe after 24 hours, and then you do it again after maybe 30 days. But if you track your customers that buy your retail, and you know that a cleanser should last 3 to 4 months, why aren't you texting them? Hey, how's your cleanser doing? Just got a pop up that you purchased your cleanser 3 months ago. You might be running low. Let me know. We'll send one aside, or we'll drop ship it to you. It works, and you touch, you connected with them, and that's important to do. So
that is really a great idea, and awesome feedback. And I think it is important, actually, to take back as, from the operations side, that those callbacks, those friendly reminders when we do our, phone calls that remind our guests of their appointment in 24, 48 hours or whatever that may look like, that we do give them that opportunity to, say, hey, if you are getting a facial, go ahead and, take a look at your little, medicine cabinet. What do you have in there? What are your needs? Do you need a cleanser? Do you need a, sorry, Siri just started talking to me. I don't know if you guys heard that or not. It's pretty funny.
Alexa.
But to be able to do that in our reminder calls, I think is actually super innovative. Jocelyn had asked a question, and a comment actually to the previous response was, maybe have your guest even bring their skincare, something, you bring it along. Let's take a look at what you have, and without insulting what it is that they have in front of you. There's certain things that you can say, well, now you can see you're missing that serum, right? You're missing something that is really active to address these specific concerns, which is why you're coming to see me today. So we're going to send you home with that version. Keep all the rest of your stuff if you like it, and then eventually they'll, phase out of some of their other skincare. Hopefully.
You could do that with makeup too.
You could do that with makeup, huh?
We used to talk about that a lot at Jane Iredale back in the day, bringing your makeup bag. Let's see. And people would come in with the tiniest little lip pencil, barely get anything out of it, or scoop out what's in the lipstick. Because they will, if you just plant that seed. It's that, subliminal.
I love that. And then it looks like we have another question, a final question. Do vendors have options for treatment with product that includes a discount for guests and form of credit for the buyer? So do they have options for a treatment with that product included that includes a discount for the guest and a form of credit for the buyer?
Now, it sounds like you're talking more about skincare brands. And there are definitely skincare brands out there that have pre-written treatment protocols that would include what they recommend for retail. And it's actually a great deal. I mean, I think travel kits are good for those travel sizes are good for that. I would be surprised if anyone at this year of discount buying. And I know that the brands I'm working with specifically are. So I would definitely talk to your vendors and just open up the conversation with them.
Absolutely. Which brings me to this. We are out of time. And one of the things that we have coming up is actually a vendor town hall. So for those of you that are still on the call, and those of you that are still vendors, definitely take a look at the Colorado Spa Association.com website. And specifically the events page, so that you can see what we have coming up. We do have our calendar populated through the end of the month, and we actually have events scheduled all the way through the end of August so far. So you'll see those popping up. But our very next one will actually be next Tuesday. It is for vendors only, and we're doing a town hall. So some of these could be really great questions to ask our vendors. And one of the comments that John from Brown Palace just brought up was that Theragun does do a QR code that they drop ship and send 20% back to the retailer. So, you know, a lot of our brands, I think, are doing some of those things. They're getting really innovative. But be sure that you are, if you are a vendor, be on that call, because that'll help us help you, and so on and so forth. Thank you all so much. Jennifer, your insight was amazing, and we will look forward to seeing everyone next week for the launch of Wellness Wednesdays with Mindful in the Madness Series Part 2. The conversation continues for our group therapy sesh. I don't know if you're excited about it, but I am. So hope to see you all soon, and everybody have a wonderful evening. Take care.
Thank you, everybody.